And fighting corruption in Nigeria is getting more difficult by the day as anti-graft agencies continue to battle corrupt Nigerians who have derived different ways to beat the law. With the recent constitutional issues surrounding the EFCC, how can the country win the battle against corruption? Well, we're having this narrative with Dr. Ilyasu Gashinbaki, who is the pioneer president of the Chartered Institute of Forensics and Certified Fraud Investigators of Nigeria. Very warm welcome to Newsnight, Dr. Ilyasu.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I mean, yes, the matter is before the Supreme Court, you know, the legality of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, but it's a well-known fact that the EFCC is an act of parliament created December 12, 2002. What could be illegal about its operations in fighting graft in Nigeria?
There is actually nothing illegal about the establishment of the EFCC. And of course, even the recent going to the Supreme Court regarding its own establishment, the Supreme Court has decided in two cases. One in 2002, which was the case of ICPC, the case of Ogun State government versus Attorney General of the Federation. And the Supreme Court was very clear that Section 15 of the Constitution, subsection 5, provided clearly that the state shall abolish corruption and abuse of power. And therefore, that matter was settled. And then again, the case of Abia State in 2006 versus the EFCC, versus Attorney General of the Federation on EFCC. Also, the case was thrown out because EFCC was part of the case and is not part of the federating unit. And of course, Supreme Court said that it lacked jurisdiction because it's not a court of first instance for such matters, because EFCC is not a state or the federal government. So I think we are just making issues out of nothing. The Supreme Court has spoken, and I'm not sure that they are willing to reverse themselves.
So why are the states overracking themselves then? So where lies the check and balances? You know, who would check the states, for example, when there are cases of corruption and the rest?
That's the issue. We have gotten to a stage where the attitude of the state governors is like they want to choose the kind of laws they want to obey. Because it doesn't make sense to me going back to the Supreme Court after the Supreme Court has decided on this matter twice. But further than that, the idea, and we have seen it, the abuse of power that happens at that subnational level, that is the kind of thing that they want to reinforce. And the truth is, Nigerians need to know that there is no any right way of doing a wrong thing. And that is why they feel that through the back door, because now what they are contending at the Supreme Court, they are saying that, look, the EFCC was formed pursuant to Section 12 of the Constitution, and therefore, because it was formed as part of a treaty, which, of course, if that's the case, the law ought to have been taken to the state after it's been domesticated at the National Assembly level. It should also go to the state for ratification. But the truth is that that's not the facts of the matter. Section 15 of the Constitution has clearly defined where the EFCC stands. And of course, even before the EFCC, the Code of Conduct for Public Officers, which of course the Code of Conduct Bureau derives, That is also part of the Constitution. It's in the 5th schedule to the Constitution. So in reality, there is no way, in my view, that they are going to get away with this. But let us even say, assuming without conceding, that the EFCC is truly unconstitutional. What a progressive nation should do, based on what the EFCC has achieved today, what the NFIU has achieved today, what the ICPC has achieved today, and in view of the preponderance of evidence that the police alone will not be able to deal with the myriads of these issues, I think what we should do, assuming that the EFCC is truly unconstitutional, or the ICPC, or the NFIU, is even to amend the Constitution. But the reality is that it's not even unconstitutional.
There is nothing there to amend.
There is nothing there to amend.
Well, so would you, for example, say, is this a case of the voice of Jacob and the hand of Esau?
Absolutely. Go and look at, right now, we have about more than 7 cases being pursued by anti-graft agencies, stalled in courts by frivolous orders, because the defendants are not ready to go through criminal prosecutions. So the EFCC is going through a lot. The same thing with the ICPC. And the judicial system, the criminal justice system, is not helping matters. I will give you an example. Even with the administration of the Criminal Justice Act? It's a classical point in case is the section of that AJA that was nullified. Typically, criminal prosecution takes a long time because of technicalities, the court processes. Due diligence. Yeah. Now imagine you are finished, the prosecution has closed its case, you have finished all you need to do, and then suddenly it has taken you almost 10 years to do that. And then the judge is promoted to a higher court. Then what happens? The Administration of Criminal Justice Act provided, because there is a lacuna there, to say, okay, the judge can come and finish the case. But in the case of Ojukalu, we have seen what happened. It went to Supreme Court. And the question before the Supreme Court was very simple. This judge, is he the judge of the Court of Appeal or the judge of the Federal High Court? And the Supreme Court nullified that section of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. So those are the kind of challenges you find woven there, that if you are not within the system, you will not have a greater appreciation of the challenges that law enforcement goes through. Another challenge they go through also is that because these cases takes that long, witnesses may die. Some witnesses may even become aggressive. We have seen instances where even courts are burnt. And when we have this kind of issues, body of evidence is being destroyed. So there are so many issues out there that law enforcement struggle with in trying to deal with the challenges. So we will need to see reforms coming within the criminal justice system to accelerate all of this. And strengthen the crime fighters like the ICPC, the EFCC, and of course, what now happens to the fraud unit of the Force Criminal Investigation Department is not being strengthened at all. Well, if you go back to why the EFCC, the ICPC, the NFIU was formed, is because the workload became too much for the police, and then the system was becoming inefficient and unproductive. And therefore, but a lot of the personnel at the EFCC and ICPC are police officers. I was part of the founding staff of the EFCC. And I will tell you, yes, the police did an incredible job in doing whatever has been done to found those agencies. But again, they came out to be complementary to whatever the police has been doing so far. And I can tell you that the work of the NFIU, the EFCC, and the ICPC today has significantly helped in curbing corruption, enhancing the image of Nigeria. In fact, at least, some of the things that people do with a little bit of restraint now is because of these agencies that we see around complementing the powers of the police.
Yes, indeed. And thanks so very much, Dr. Ilyasu Gashinbaki is the President, Chartered Institute of Forensics and Certified Fraud Investigators of Nigeria. And that institute was established some 2 years ago by an act of parliament to 2022.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.